It was 1:58 a.m. when my phone buzzed against the nightstand. I blinked awake, the soft blue light washing over the room. Her name, Rachel, glowed across the screen. We'd been married 8 years, and she was supposed to be out with her coworkers for a late-night team dinner. I hadn't expected a message. Busy now, I'll call after. That was it. No emojis. No warmth. Just those 5 words. Something in my gut twisted. For months, she'd been busy. Busy at work. Busy with friends. Busy enough that our conversations had turned into one-word exchanges. I told myself not to overthink it, but that night, something felt off. The message wasn't strange on its own. It was the timing. Rachel hated texting late. She always said she needed her beauty sleep. So why was she awake and busy at 2 in the morning? I stared at the phone for a full minute, my mind spinning through possibilities I didn't want to name. Then, before I could stop myself, I typed back. Busy doing what? I didn't expect a response. Instead, I saw those 3 little dots appear for a second and vanish. Silence. The air felt heavier, the kind of stillness that only comes before a storm. I swung my legs off the bed, grabbed my hoodie, and walked toward the living room. The clock ticked. 2:05. That's when I noticed something. Her car's tracking app on my phone. Something we'd both agreed to keep active after a scare last year when her car was stolen. I opened it out of habit. The little dot blinked. Not near the restaurant. Not on the road. It was 2 streets away. My pulse quickened. I zoomed in. The location pin hovered near Maplewood Apartments, a place I knew well. My old college friend Ethan lived there. I hadn't heard from him in months. 2:07. My phone buzzed again. But this time, it wasn't a message. It was the sound of tires crunching on the driveway gravel. I froze. Rachel's headlights cut through the curtains. She was home. At 2:10, the front door clicked open. Her perfume, a familiar vanilla scent, drifted in before she did. She looked startled to see me awake, standing in the hallway like a shadow waiting. "Why are you up?" she asked, setting her purse down with a shaky hand. "I could ask you the same," I said quietly. She blinked fast, her expression tightening. "What's that supposed to mean?" I didn't answer. I just held up my phone, the one still showing the open text thread. "Busy now, I'll call after." Her lips parted, eyes flicking from the screen to my face. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The air between us was thick with unspoken things. She started, voice catching. "It wasn't what you think." "That's funny," I said, forcing a hollow smile. "Because I haven't told you what I think yet." She took a step closer, reaching out as if to touch my arm, then stopped herself. Her eyes were glistening now, panic creeping in like a rising tide. "Where were you, Rachel?" She opened her mouth, but the answer never came. Instead, her gaze darted toward her purse, the same one she dropped by the door. I followed her eyes. The corner of her phone peeked out, and then it buzzed. Her whole body flinched. I didn't move. I just stared at her. "Go ahead," I said softly. "Answer it." She didn't. The buzzing stopped. A new message popped up on her lock screen. I couldn't see the full thing, just the first few words. "Had a great night. Can't stop thinking about." Rachel lunged for the purse, but I was faster. When I looked back up, her face had gone pale. Her lips trembled, and the color drained from her cheeks. "It's not what it looks like," she whispered, voice cracking under the weight of panic. "Then you should explain," I said, my tone flat, too calm for what was burning inside me. She stood frozen, staring at the floor, one hand pressed against her temple like she could rewind the last 10 minutes. The only sound was the clock ticking from the living room wall. When she finally spoke, her words stumbled out. "We were just talking, okay? I ran into someone from work. At 2 in the morning?" I cut in. "In Maplewood Apartments?" Her eyes widened. She hadn't expected me to know that. How do you even?" "Your car," I said quietly. "You forgot we share the tracker." For a second, the truth flickered behind her expression. That guilty, fleeting shadow that people wear when their lives collapse faster than they can rebuild them. Ethan, I said almost to myself. You were with Ethan, weren't you? She froze again. That was all the confirmation I needed. Rachel's breathing quickened. It wasn't planned. We just talked, that's all. He texted about something personal, and I went to check on him. At 2 a.m., I repeated. Her silence was the kind of answer that screamed louder than words ever could. I took a slow step forward. You told me you were busy. You told me you'd call after. But instead, you were 2 streets away with another man. She flinched like the words were bullets. Please, Mark, don't do this right now. I'm not doing anything, Rachel. I'm just listening to the story change every time you open your mouth. Tears welled in her eyes, but I'd stopped feeling sorry for them weeks ago. When I first noticed her distance, the late replies, the excuses, the way she laughed at her phone and locked it the second I looked over. I'd given her the benefit of the doubt. I told myself it was stress, that marriage could survive a rough patch, that love didn't just vanish. But love doesn't hide behind half-truths and midnight messages. She sank onto the couch, face buried in her hands. I didn't mean for this to happen, she whispered. Then what did you mean to happen? I asked. She didn't answer. I turned her phone over, the screen lighting up again. The same message was still there, unread. My heart pounded as I read the name at the top. Ethan Harper. I laughed. A sharp, humorless sound. So it was him. Rachel looked up, eyes red. Mark, please. I was stupid. It was just one night. I didn't. One night. I interrupted, voice rising for the first time. You've been busy every weekend for a month. Was that all, Ethan, too? She opened her mouth to speak, then closed it again. That silence said everything. The thing about betrayal, it doesn't hit like lightning. It's quieter, slower. It eats at you from the inside until what's left isn't pain anymore. It's emptiness. I placed the phone down on the table and straightened up. You know what's funny? I said, my voice eerily calm again. When you texted me, I almost replied with, okay, love you. But instead, I leaned in close enough for her to hear every word. I wrote, busy now, I'll call after. Then I sent it to Ethan. Her head shot up, eyes wide, breath caught in her throat. What do you mean? She stammered. I said, you weren't the only one texting tonight. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screen. A single red receipt glowed under my message to Ethan, read at 2:08 a.m. Her jaw dropped. You didn't. Oh, I did, I said. He read it right before you walked through that door. Guess I ruined his night too. The room fell into a thick, unbearable silence. For the first time, she looked small, like the weight of what she'd done had finally settled on her shoulders. I can explain, she whispered. I'm sure you can, I said, walking toward the door. But you'll have to explain it to someone else now. Mark, please. I paused, hand on the doorknob. You texted me that you were busy. Now I guess so am I. The door clicked shut behind me. Outside, the night was cool and silent. My phone buzzed again, one last message from her. Please come home. I made a mistake. I looked at the screen, my thumb hovering over the reply. Then I typed back 3 words. Too late, Rachel. And for the first time in months, I finally slept soundly.